Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm Michelle. I'm the head of marketing at BrandAlley. For the past 10 years or so, I've been working in marketing. I started off in luxury swimwear and then moved across into luxury skiwear, did a little bit of everything else in between. And for the past 4 years, I've been at BrandAlley. So when I started at BrandAlley, I came in as a junior marketing manager. And my second day on the job, I was actually over at the Mention Me offices, and they were doing like a bit of an annual review and a strategy meet for the next year for BrandAlley. So that was my first kind of intro to referral and advocacy and everything to do with that. And I've been hooked ever since. So it's a real honor to be here today to help kick off this incredible event and to talk to you guys about what BrandAlley have been doing and how we've been using advocacy to drive retention and to supercharge our growth. So by a show of hands, who knows, loves and shops on BrandAlley? Great, okay, good to see some of that. So for those of you who don't know who BrandAlley are, we're the UK's largest off-price, members-only flash sales website. So that is a bit of a mouthful, but essentially what we do is we work with thousands of brands across homeware, women's wear, men's fashion, beauty, and so much more. The brands we work with are the likes of Mulberry, Gucci, Ralph Lauren, Dyson, Elemis, the list goes on. Our sales are time limited, and that means that they run for between 4 and 7 days, and we offer up to 70% off everything that we have on site. And these offers are exclusively for our members. So that means you have to sign up in order to browse the website and to check out. It's free, that's the good news, and it only takes a couple of seconds. So I'll pause here for everyone to take out their phones and sign up to BrandAlley. I'd like to just quickly show you this video. So this is from our Black Friday campaign in 2023, and I think it does a really nice job of kind of showcasing what exactly BrandAlley has on our digital shelves. So I think, is it this one? This one? Great. I do love that video. So everything that you've seen in that video, except for the food and the cat, is available to buy on BrandAlley. And we do like to think of shopping on BrandAlley as a bit of a party where there is something for absolutely everyone. So now that we know what BrandAlley is, I'd like to talk a little bit about, I suppose, the star of the show, who's the BrandAlley customer. So in the UK, we've over 9 million on our database. The majority are female, and our new customers coming in spend on average 100 quid per basket. One of the metrics in particular that I think is really interesting, especially for today, is this one, the 43% VIP customer. So up until really recently, BrandAlley would consider their most valuable customers based on those who were spending the most and spending most often, right? And we were quite happy with that because a good chunk of our database were doing what we wanted them to do. However, with the support of Mention Me, we've kind of changed how we view our most valuable customers, and we've shifted away from just looking at what people were spending to looking at other behaviors that we wanted to, I suppose, capture and reward. So what I'm talking about is customers who mightn't have been spending as much as these in the 43% VIP group, but they were doing other things such as referring friends and family and bringing those kind of valuable customers into BrandAlley. So instead of thinking of our most valuable customers as our VIPs because of what they were spending, we shifted that view and now we consider our most valuable customers to be our VIAs, very important advocates. So let me just take a little step back because we didn't just get to that point that we're at now overnight. So we started our journey to advocacy with Mention Me back at the very end of 2017. And back then, we knew that our customers were telling friends and family about their experience of BrandAlley, and they're referring people in. But we had no way of kind of capturing this or being able to measure this. And we understood then, as we know now, that word of mouth is essential for sustainable business growth. And we needed to unlock that as an acquisition channel. So this is where Mention Me came in, and they started helping us. And one of the things that we really liked back then, and we still do now, is the name share tool that Mention Me have. So if you're not familiar with this, it's basically something that you can use in real life organic conversations. So if I'm chatting to someone and I say, I love your jacket or your shoes, whatever, and they go, thanks a million, I got them on BrandAlley, you can get an incentive if you use my name at checkout. So this is still crucial for us, and nearly 40% of our new customers that come from referral are coming in via name share today. So that's where we started. And this is basically what our advocacy strategy is for BrandAlley, this circular bit. It's really simple, but when it's done right, it can be really, really effective. So I'm sure most of you are doing this, where you're bringing customers in the door and giving them an experience that they love with the hope that they'll become loyal customers and come back and come back. And that's where a lot of businesses tend to stop. However, we've unlocked the next step after loyalty, which is advocacy. So we're turning those loyal customers into fans of our brand and making them advocates so that they can continue to go out and tell their friends and family about their experience and bring them into BrandAlley too. So I keep banging on about advocates and why we're really impressed with them and why they're so valuable, but why exactly is that and what can we do with them? So this slide here is a snapshot of our first year working with Mention Me and our last full year. So I'm not going to go through everything in detail because that's quite boring just to read loads of numbers off the slide. But one thing I do want to call out is if you look at the AOV for new customers, so this is for referral customers only, and they're spending now £164. So when you compare that to what our, our blended new customer coming in, someone who isn't a referral customer, when they're coming in, that's 80% more than the non-referred customer. So there's so much value in these referred people. And as well as that, when we look at our dashboard on Mention Me, so just for BrandAlley customers, if you have this, it'll be completely different for your customers. But we know that referred customers spend 65% more in their first 6 months than non-referred customers. They also introduce 3.8 times more new customers, and they're twice as likely to repeat purchase than non-referred. So that's why we're so interested in them, because there's so much value in them. Now, this next slide is another way of thinking about your most valuable advocates and your most valuable customers. And I'm sure we're going to hear a lot about extended customer revenue today. I have stolen basically everything on this slide from, from someone else who I normally have the pleasure of presenting alongside. So I'm sure she won't mind that I've borrowed this today. But what I like about this is it shows kind of a nice way to think about where your business is when you're looking at advocacy. So I talked about when we started working with Mention Me, we started focusing on how we can track referrals. We were there, and then we started to understand who our best customers really are, those VIAs, the very important advocates. And now we're using that data. This is where this extended customer revenue is going to come in, and we're driving efficiency here. So I would say BrandAlley is somewhere around here. We're not fully here, but we're pretty close. And I also like to explain extended customer revenue as how you explain to your CFO what your advocates are, because it's using the word revenue. So basically, this formula is your extended customer revenue is the value of your individual customer plus the value of who they're bringing into the program too. So let's have a look at what that looks like. So here is Steph. She's a BrandAlley customer. This isn't really Steph, it's just based on Steph. So she shops on BrandAlley and she buys 2 dresses a year and she spends about 200 quid a year, which is fine, but we're not too interested in that because that only puts Steph into the lower quartile lifetime value customer. However, so here she is actually. This is Steph as a little yellow dot spending £200 a year. A little bit not very interesting. It was just her on her own on the slide there. However, when we start to think about Steph and look at her with an advocacy lens, we can see that she's actually referred 7 other people and they have spent £2,000 per year on their dresses. And then those 7 people have gone on to refer 4 more who've continued to spend more. So then when we think about Steph now with this advocacy lens on her, she's worth so much more than that original £200 that we thought she was worth. She's actually worth an extended customer revenue of 4.8k. So that's why it's so crucial to think about your advocates with this lens, because there's so much more than just what they're spending. So this is what I'm trying to get to. Our very important advocates are the ones who are driving this extended customer revenue. And we've been putting this into practice in a number of different ways at BrandAlley. So I'm going to talk to a couple of different things that we've been doing, and hopefully they will give you guys some ideas as you go through the rest of the day. There'll be workshops and breakouts, and hopefully what I can share with you here will start kind of stimulating ideas for those sessions later on. So one thing that we've done quite recently is we have enhanced our segmentation with extended customer revenue segments. So basically what we did was we pulled a high value extended customer revenue segment out of the Mention Me platform, more or less, and we built it into this campaign. So this is from a couple of weeks ago. It was an early access Hobbs campaign. And what I mean by that is we share early access sales to our most valuable customers. And traditionally, that was only going to that VIP segment, so those people that were spending a certain amount. But we then built in this extended customer revenue segment into it, and we saw incredible results pretty much off the bat. So the click-through rate was 47% higher. The AOV was 10% higher, and we had a much stronger conversion rate when we included that enhanced customer revenue. Another thing that we're doing too, so we've been talking a little bit about how acquisition and paid media is super expensive. And the good news is that you can actually use the data from referral to optimize what you're doing across on paid media. So we've been doing this at BrandAlley. We've been working across Meta and on our PMax campaigns on Google. So when we started building lookalike audiences on Meta based on referral, we saw a 27% lower cost per acquisition, 23% lower CPM, and our ROAS were 15% higher. So this is when we compare them to like the averages for the campaigns where we were not using these audiences. And then we had one audience based on the existing customers who had successfully referred a friend, and that is now our second best registration driving campaign out of all the campaigns we have live. And then on Performance Max, we started using referral data as an audience signal as well. And that has helped lower our cost per registration by 18% when you compare it to the account average. And as well as that, our ROAS are 70% higher once we start using this audience signal. So there's a lot of benefit there. And I'm sure 95% of the people in this room are being told by their CEOs to do a lot more with a lot less. And it's back to Andy's point from earlier. Acquisition is really, really difficult. So if there's any ways that we can find to make that more effective and bring the cost down, we're all over it. So this is a really good way of doing that. And then finally, a little shout out to Immersis here too. So we're also using pre-built tactics for Mention Me within our Immersis platform. We currently have 3 live, and these are supporting what we're doing around acquisition, around retention, and as well around encouraging people to come back and shop again. And the reason I've put this GIF in here is because I literally felt like this guy when we put these live, because they were super easy to put live, and immediately we started to see some really great results. So with these live, we have seen a 12% increase in the number of customers that we have coming in via referral. The open rate on these is also 12% higher than our next best performing campaign, which is super. And as well as that, in particular, the AOV, specifically on the tactic that reminds referrers to come back and use their reward again, that AOV is 73% higher than what we're seeing on the AOV from the rest of our email campaigns, which is absolutely incredible. So again, it just goes back to the power in those advocates. So those are just a couple of examples of how BrandAlley are using advocacy data to enhance what we're doing around retention, and also a little bit on acquisition. So that's where I end. I hope that you enjoyed that or learned something from it. And if you didn't, that's absolutely fine, because the next speaker up will absolutely blow your socks off. So thank you very much for listening. If you want to connect with me, please do scan my LinkedIn profile. Otherwise, just grab me in real life. Anything for a bit of a chat, I'm happy to do that. Thank you.